The other thing I wondered about money and politics, we're talking about campaigns, and that's the most familiar, but lobbying is a huge factor here, and one estimate puts the ratio of lobbying spending to campaign donations 13-1. And this isn't campaign donations, it's people building relationships on the Hill and basically preventing legislation from having to say, oh, it's gonna have unintended consequences, don't do it. What about focusing on that instead? Do you think banning people from becoming lobbyists or something like that would be beneficial?
I always felt that, just speaking from my own experience, that my door should be open to anyone. Anybody wants to walk through and plead their case or give me their opinion, my door is open. I have to make the decision whether what they tell me is something I agree with or not. When the China trade vote came up, Boeing came into my office and they were talking about how important it was to vote for China trade, and I had found out before the meeting that they were getting ready to sell prototypes of aircraft they developed in the United States to China in exchange for having a privileged position in China for their activities. And I think that it might be more important to talk to people you don't agree with, actually, to be able to learn from them why they advocate what they advocate. And I don't see lobbying per se isn't the problem. The problem is if a member, because they want something from a lobbyist, tries to ingratiate himself or herself to get favor of a lobbyist so they can help them later on. But the other problem is members, people who have served in Congress for a long time, who then go and become lobbyists and make millions of dollars because they've been in a public position. I think the cooling off period of a few years might be the right thing to do.
What about lifetime banishment? So, super PACs. These are the behemoths of campaign finance that have sort of risen up in the wake of Citizens United and other related decisions. And Bill, you ran one.
Started it too.
What did it do? Help people understand what it's, we know.
Mostly evil.
Mostly. It's like a Death Star destroying planets.
Right, exactly. Just to finish up on Congressman Kucinich's point, lobbying is kind of an extension of the campaign finance problem, right? Because huge corporations or super rich people have this ability to send armies of people onto Capitol Hill, go into members of Congress's offices, talk to them about an issue, then give them tons of campaign contributions, and have this outsized influence, right? Like, people should be able to represent groups or companies and go and talk to members of Congress, but the whole effort is destroys democracy when they have so much money and so much influence, and regular folks and regular organizations just don't have that kind of influence. So I think that lobbying is as big a problem as campaign finance, but they're definitely interlinked. Now, as for super PACs, what we did was, in 2008, it was awkward for me to start a super PAC in 2012 for the president, because in 2008, my job as the president's press secretary in that first campaign was to say publicly, please don't start any super PACs. Like, if you want to give to the campaign, give through the campaign. Don't give to these outside groups. And the biggest reason for that was because we wanted to have control of our message and what we were doing.
So super PACs are not allowed to work with the campaign.
That's right. They're not allowed to work. They're independent entities.
So you told people, don't give to that. Just bring it to the actual campaign.
Just bring it to the campaign, which is, which definitely cut off some money because people could only give $2,700 to the campaign in the primary, another $2,700 in the general. And Democrats and Republicans have different views of independent activity and what's coordination. For example, when we started our super PAC, we went as far as telling all of our friends who worked in the Obama White House and on the re-elect, don't email us, don't talk to us, if you see us, let's just have a conversation next November. Republicans, literally the Mitt Romney super PAC, literally set up shop inside of Romney's campaign and didn't move out until 3 months before the election because that was their interpretation of the law. They ended up paying a massive fine as a result of that, and some other things that were like clear coordination. But no, the super PACs are not allowed to coordinate with campaigns. What you do is you go out, you do your own polls, you do your own focus groups, you make your own message, and then you run ads that you think are going to be helpful to your candidate. And that's what we did. And, I think we made some pretty good ads.
Now, the super PACs today are increasingly coordinating with the campaigns. It's just like really obvious, and they'll tell reporters, well, look, here's what the law says, we're within the law, and I guess they are, I'm not a lawyer. but no one's stopping them. How would that have been different for you if you were operating the super PAC today? Would you have,
No, it
told
would be
people,
different.
like, don't talk to me on the street, or just said, forget it, let's go for it?
No, I think it would have been the same. It just Democrats are more concerned with rules than Republicans are generally. I think it's true. It's an actual fact. But the non-coordination was kind of a bummer.
I want to ask a question. So who determines what constitutes coordination?
The FEC.
And are there instances where folks have gotten in trouble for it, and what is the punishment or the deterrent from coordinating? And
This is an excellent question, because this is at the center of why the system is so broken, right? Because the FEC determines whether or not there's coordination, but the FEC has been rendered completely ineffective because Mitch McConnell won't appoint another person so they can actually get a majority one way or another. So the FEC does very little right now. And even if there is coordination decided by the FEC, your problem is really more public perception than it is with the law. Like, you'll get slapped with a big fine, but there's no FEC jail or anything like that. It's just
your
trouble.
super PACs, you have all the money in the world, you can pay the fine, right?
You don't have all the money in the world.
Well, you've
but,
got plenty of
most of
you got
it.
enough to pay the fine.
You got a big chunk.
Some big donors.
But no, this is it's exactly why this is such a stupid system, and why super PACs are not good for democracy, and why all this money in politics is not good for democracy. It's because there is no recompense if people are breaking the rules or breaking the laws. It's just you get a fine, you just keep moving. Like the people who broke rules and got fined on at Crossroads or at Romney Super PAC or any of the other ones, they're still doing the same thing. They're still moving along. They're running super PACs.
Let me, building on what Bill just said, let me tell you what it's like for a member of Congress. You go through this horrible, debilitating process of dialing for dollars, and that becomes an all-consuming thing to stay in office. And you track very carefully what your opponent's doing. You're watching how he or she is raising funds and who the money's coming from, and you think you've figured out the election. And then all of a sudden, in the last few weeks, a super PAC comes into your race, and it's all upside down. It's something you may not have counted on. And I will tell you, it can and does upend races. It certainly changes the calculation. So in a way, it adds to the already great uncertainty which members have, and makes them even more vulnerable to big money contributors, and underscores how dangerous and broken this system is.
All right, dangerous and broken system. We'll leave it there. I guess
Clearly.
we could take a question or two if people have them.
So no one has questions.
No, people are raising
Their
their
hands are up. We can't see because the lights are so bright.
Should we line up or walk out? Front row.
I guess you should.
Here, I'll go here and we can, or however many we have.
So I haven't heard you guys mention it. The country was largely distracted over the recent shootings. Rest in peace. But while everyone was talking about that, a federal judge, I don't know if it's decided or declared the legal verbiage, I'm not a lawyer either, but they said that the influence of super PAC money can potentially be considered bribery, as we all know. But now that it's going official, I know we may not have friends in the Supreme Court, but do you think there might be and I agree with the constitutional amendment idea, but do you think that it might be possible to seek judicial ramifications to say that this super PAC wanted this issue and they've been meeting with this person and now he did them a favor?
Go ahead, Bill.
I think that we can't count on the judicial system to fix this problem, because the Supreme Court is clearly so on the wrong side of history here. I think we need a constitutional amendment. I think that some of the things that are happening locally, like Tallahassee passed some great campaign finance reform, Minnesota has great laws, Oregon has great laws. I think that until we get a constitutional amendment, the thing that we have to do is work city by city, county by county, and try to get this changed across the country.